because I couldn't tell how much the car slowed down from new tires to used tires to two tires. I couldn't keep up with that.
The NASCAR world erupted after Phoenix, but amid the noise, one voice rose above them all. Richard Petty just sided with Denny Hamlin, and his words are rewriting the story of that championship race. Let's talk about what went down at Phoenix Raceway in the 2025 finale. Denny Hamlin was right there, positioned perfectly to finally capture that elusive championship. The number 11 Joe Gibbs. Racing machine was running strong. Hamlin was in control, and then came lap 309. William Byron crashed out, bringing out the caution that would ultimately decide everything. The pit crew had a choice to make. 2 tires or 4? They went with 4 fresh tires, while most of the field, including Kyle Larson in the number 5, took just 2. The restart happened, traffic got messy, and Hamlin's championship dreams slipped away in those final chaotic laps. Immediately, the NASCAR world erupted. Fans pointed fingers at crew chief Chris Gale. Social media lit up with armchair strategists claiming the 4-tire call was a massive mistake. The narrative quickly became that Hamlin and his team gambled wrong and paid the ultimate price. But here's where it gets interesting. Richard Petty, the 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, the man they call the King, sat down with his longtime collaborator Dale Inman to break down exactly what happened. And Petty didn't join the critics. Instead, he came out swinging in defense of Hamlin. Petty's take? If he hadn't got blocked by those couples, he would have beat the number. 5, not won the race. He made the right decision. Traffic just didn't allow him to take advantage of the 4 tires. Think about that for a second. One of the greatest minds in NASCAR history is saying the strategy was correct. The problem wasn't the call, it was the circumstances that followed. Let's break down what actually happened in those final moments. Petty explained the pit stop sequence from a racer's perspective. When they had to make a pit stop, everybody got 2 tires except the number. 11 car, and he got 4 car tires. So Hamlin was the outlier, the one betting on fresher rubber to make a difference. When NASCAR threw the green flag for that restart, Hamlin lined up on the inside with Larson on the outside. Going into turn 1, they were side by side, but there were a couple of cars between them in traffic. That's when things got complicated. When he got down in there, he got blocked, Petty explained. The other drivers went off into the corner and shot straight through the middle. Hamlin's number 11 was closing the gap, showing those 4 fresh tires were working, but he got trapped again by traffic. Petty made sure to give Larson credit too, pointing out that the Hendrick Motorsports driver seized his moment perfectly. But the conclusion was clear. Hamlin played his cards right, luck just didn't fall his way. What critics called a blunder, Petty called a masterstroke that was undone by timing and congestion. Now, Petty also brought up the financial reality of this decision. The Cup people spend that much money to run a race, and then they don't let them have it for just a few tires. This guy spent $15 or $20 million to put the car on the racetrack. He's handicapped because he's not got enough tires. That's a perspective you don't hear often. Teams invest enormous resources into these championship runs, and being limited by tire allocation in the most critical moment seems almost unfair. Even Chris Gale defended his call afterward. He admitted that for a second he thought about 2 tires in hindsight, but he wasn't sure that would have worked either. Larson took 2 because it was his only shot. I think 4 tires were the right call, it just didn't get clear on the bottom, Gale said. The strategy was sound, the execution was there, but the bottom lane just didn't develop the way they needed. Kyle Petty, Richard's son, added another layer to this analysis. He pointed out that even Larson might not have benefited from 2 tires if he hadn't been in the right position. Denny got pinned in on the bottom, and the cars were coming back to Denny as Larson's lane was moving forward. And that was the separation. That was the race right there for me. So it wasn't just about tires. It was about lane choice, traffic flow, and split-second positioning. But here's where Richard Petty and Dale Inman really got into the bigger picture. They started talking about NASCAR's rules and how the sport has evolved. Back in their racing days, when the checkered flag waved, the race was over. Done. But modern NASCAR, races can stretch into 3 or 4 overtimes because a single spin anywhere in the pack can add extra laps and completely rewrite who wins. Petty didn't hold back on his criticism. If you're going to run a race, it needs to be a deal, not just somebody that's really good on a one-lap set of tires, but that's the way. Hopefully they'll change it next year, and I don't know if they're going to change that, but the point stand definitely needs to be changed. His point is powerful. Championships shouldn't come down to who gets lucky with fresh tires during a late caution. The structure should reward consistency and skill across the full distance. Dale Inman had a specific solution in mind. He proposed that NASCAR create a standardized overtime formula based on track type. For Martinsville's 500-lap race, give them 10 laps in overtime so drivers needing fuel could pit and still race. For Phoenix, make it 5 laps. For Daytona and Talladega, just 2 laps. The idea is simple. Overtime should enhance the finish without completely redefining what the race was about. Petty emphasized that a race should test a driver's skills, not just their ability to capitalize on a one-lap dash after a convenient caution, and he's absolutely right to call out the current one-race championship format. There's going to have to be a change to the way they get a championship, Petty declared. This format ultimately didn't allow Hamlin to win, despite his dominant season. Speaking of Hamlin's season, let's put this in context. Just last month at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Hamlin won his 60th career trophy. It was an emotional moment, especially for his ailing father. Richard Petty said, at the time, "This is probably his best chance he's ever had to have a chance at the championship." Everyone was rooting for him at Phoenix. The king himself believed this was Hamlin's year. Now here's what makes this story even more compelling. Kyle Larson won the 2025 championship with 3 victories, exactly half of what Hamlin earned this season. Some fans compared it to Joey Logano's controversial 2024 championship, where he won with the worst average finish of 17.1. But Hamlin, he refused to let any negativity fall on his friend. At the NASCAR Awards event, Hamlin actually shielded Larson from criticism. "I hate for him that kind of the attention is shifted a little bit away from his championship. There shouldn't be one person who questions the deservingness of his championship. He's a great friend. If it couldn't be me, I'm glad it's him." That level of grace after such a crushing defeat speaks volumes. Hamlin explained it perfectly. "I think we're all so close. We play the same opposition every week, so we get to know each other personally, and that plays into that factor of feeling empathy for your competitor." Despite the heartbreak, Hamlin is moving forward without ill will, determined to come back and try again. And with Richard Petty, the majority of the NASCAR fan base, and respect from his fellow drivers all in his corner, you can bet Denny Hamlin will be back fighting for that championship. Not only did you deliver the video 3 days late, but it's also incomplete. Half of the video is still missing.